What's up, guys? Sim Football here. So I wanted to kind of give you a peek under the hood with the conversations that I've been having with AI regarding like what's the best PS2 Madden in terms of gameplay smoothness, animation quality, and polish. I'm gonna go ahead and let the AI speak a little bit about this, and I'll kind of like scroll down and maybe add my thoughts as we go, and then we'll just kind of see where we end up at the end of this prompt.
It's a common sentiment among PS2 Madden enthusiasts that Madden NFL 11 represents the apex of the series on that console, particularly in terms of gameplay polish and smoothness. This opinion stems from a few key factors. 1. The refined old-gen engine. Maximum iteration, Madden 11 was the 11th and second-to-last Madden title released on the PS2, followed only by Madden 12. By this point, EA Tiburon had been developing for the console for a decade, and the game engine had reached its final, most refined state.
Right, they can only do so much.
To iron out bugs, tune the physics, and optimize the game's performance.
And one thing to think about too, every time they added the hit stick, it changed the game's code. The highlight stick, it changed the game's code. So every time they would add new features, obviously as far as like mechanics and tackles are concerned, they would have to iron out the bugs, and that would take, let's just say conservatively, at least a year.
And flow. The core animations for tackling, running, and catching felt highly polished and smoothly integrated. The players generally moved with a good sense of weight and momentum, avoiding the clunky canned feel that plagued some earlier or even later Madden titles. 2.
Yeah,
Improved
I could see that
AI tuning.
on like
Realistic
05, 06, 07.
Many fans felt the AI, artificial intelligence, in Madden 11 offered a more balanced and realistic challenge. The opposing defense was often noted for being able to rectify play spamming, meaning they'd adjust to repetitive play calls, forcing the user to rely on a more realistic, diverse playbook.
And like, who wouldn't want that? You shouldn't be able to choose the computer over and over.
The QB out of rhythm, leading to more frequent overthrows and dropped balls, rewarding accurate, well-timed throws. Better blocking, the AI for offensive linemen was reportedly better, allowing for more successful.
Let me read that last one. The passing game felt more authentic, where misfiring on throws could put the QB out of rhythm, leading to more frequent overflows and drop balls, rewarding accurate, well-timed throws. I've dabbled in Madden 11 a little bit on PS2, and I can kind of see what they mean. Better blocking, that's always a good thing.
Run blocks, which made the running game feel more satisfying and strategic. 3. Gameplay balance. The passing game, Madden 11, is often praised for having pressure-sensitive passing done right, making it possible to throw a ball over a linebacker.
Oh yeah, I overthrew so many passes with Drew Brees. Like maximum passing from like 2K8 and 2K5 was pretty pressure sensitive. Like Madden 11 really feels that.
There were minor tweaks, such as de-emphasizing the suction of the hit stick, which made landing a big momentum-changing hit feel more earned and special.
Yeah, the suction tackles for hit sticks.
In essence, Madden 11 on the PS2 benefited from being one of the final games on a mature console platform, where the developers had maximized the potential of the core engine and refined the gameplay mechanics to what many consider the most balanced, fluid, and strategically sound experience of the PS2 era. Would you like to know which classic Madden game is often considered the best for its franchise mode depth?
Oh, that's easily 07, 08, probably 08. I already know the answer to that. So I said, what would place, I was doing voice to text here, what would place Madden 11 above, say, Madden 08 or even Madden 12, which was released the next year? And this is the response I got.
The perception that Madden 11, PS2, is superior in gameplay to Madden 08 or Madden 12 comes down to its specific position in the console's lifecycle and the refinement of its mechanics. Madden 11 versus Madden 08, the peak debate. Madden 08 is widely considered the peak of the PS2 Madden era for its comprehensive franchise mode and the introduction of the weapon system, which gave specific skill ratings to elite.
And really quick, if you weren't on a 360 and you were playing Madden 08 on the PS2, you had the weapons that the 360 had, but it felt very cheap, and it was like these weird little icons that didn't really seem like they needed to be there. And also the player roles, such as like franchise, quarterback, QB of the future. If you go back, Madden 07 had player roles. It wasn't 08 that introduced it. 07 has them. So if you drop the quarterback in the first round, he gets the tag, quarterback of the future. So you can really play 07 and 08, and those two right in there are your best bet in terms of franchise depth.
Players like Big Hitter or Spectacular Catch. However, players who prefer Madden 11's gameplay often argue for its improvements. Refined animations and player control. By 2011, the PS2 engine was maximally optimized.
Right.
Many players find the core player movement and animations in Madden 11 to be smoother and more fluid than 08.
It did
Sometimes
feel pretty
feel
fluid when I
slightly
tested
stiffer or
it
more on rails.
yesterday.
Gameplay tuning EA had more time to balance the game's difficulty and play calling. While 08 is excellent, some later-gen fans feel 11 offered a more polished simulation experience, particularly in the way the CPU defense reacted to repetitive plays. The Tony Bruno Show, Madden 08, was the final year for the highly praised in-game radio show, The Tony Bruno Show, a presentation feature often...
When I was young, I thought that was like a legit radio show playing on my console, and I was like, this isn't connected to the internet, how is this working?
Cited as a reason people stick with 08 over later versions, even if the pure on-field mechanics of 11 are technically more refined. Madden 11 versus Madden 12, the final product.
This is one that I'm concerned about. I was like, well, why not Madden 12? Technically, it can be even more polished, right?
Madden 12 was the very last installment on the PS2, and while many features carried over, Madden 11 is sometimes preferred because it may have been the last version to receive full attention before the PS2 version became a strictly minimal update. Minimal changes. Many fans report that the core gameplay difference between Madden 11 and Madden 12 on PS2 is minimal. The versions from 0912 are often described as having very similar core mechanics. Perceived downgrades. Anecdotally, some users felt that Madden 12 had minor issues that weren't present in 11. One common complaint about Madden 12 on PS2 was that the graphics or specific animations felt slightly less polished, or that the commentary was implemented poorly compared to 11. Other users, however, claim Madden 12 has slightly updated animations and is the best of the late-era PS2 titles.
Slightly.
Franchise mode features. The primary difference might be in franchise mode, where Madden 12 introduced a practice squad and hid player ratings in the preseason, which are often cited as its main functional differences over 11. In summary, Madden 11 hit a sweet spot. It retained the proven gameplay foundation of the PS2 era while having the benefit of 3 additional years of bug fixes and tuning beyond Madden 08, potentially before development resources for the PS2 version were fully diverted to the new console generation.
Yeah, you got to think about that. At a certain point, they just kind of stopped putting a lot of effort into the PS2 Madden, and apparently 11 is where it kind of peaked, and then they kind of just churned out one for Madden 12, and it was kind of just a copy and paste with a couple of franchise changes. Although I will say, the fix to the simulated stats and franchise on 12 does sound very appeasing, even if it's basically a reskin of 11. I don't really know about these perceived downgrades where some of the animations looked less polished. I haven't played 12 enough on the PS2 to observe that.
PS3/Xbox 360 for the final installment, Madden 12. You can check out a look at one of the classic
So there's Madden 12 review for PlayStation, absolutely awful. What should we ask? What should we ask? Since we're here doing this, let's go ahead and ask Jim and I, what core changes to the gameplay were made on Madden 11 in terms of animation, smoothness, branching animations, and the overall fluidity of the game compared to previous and post releases? Question mark.
The perception of Madden NFL 11 on the PS2 being the smoothest is less about a
Said chord changes. That's hilarious. I meant to say core. Either way, whatever. Let's keep going.
single revolutionary new feature, and more about achieving the maximum state of polish for an engine that was nearly a decade old. Since the PS2 version utilized the classic engine, while the new consoles, PS3/Xbox 360, received the major engine overhauls, like the new locomotion and real player motion systems, the changes on PS2 were iterative. Here's a breakdown of the subtle chord changes that
Chord.
culminated in Madden 11's
I said
gameplay.
core.
1. Refined animation smoothness and branching, minimizing canned animations. By Madden 11, the developers had years to refine the transition points between animations, the branching. This means a player moving from a run to a juke, or a block to a tackle, transitioned more naturally. In earlier versions, you could often feel the distinct start and end of an animation, leading to a
Yeah,
clunky
that's
feel.
true. I love like
Textural
05
fluidity.
through
The
07, but you
engine
can
was
feel
highly
it and see
optimized
it.
to trigger the most appropriate animation based on context, speed, angle, contact point. This led to fewer jarring or unrealistic suction tackles.
That's
and more
crazy. Yeah,
organic
no,
player
get rid of the suction
interactions.
tackles.
The running game.
That's why I
Many
really
fans
appreciate
cite the
that.
running back controls and animations as being particularly good in Madden 11 and 10. The feeling of
Running back controls
acceleration,
and
changing
animations.
direction, and breaking a tackle was finely tuned, contributing significantly to the feeling of fluidity and user control. 2. Gameplay tuning. The core balance. The feeling of smoothness in Madden 11 also relates to how the game logic flowed, making it less frustrating and more consistent than previous or post-releases. PS2 Engine Peak, Madden 11 and 10 are often cited as having the best gameplay balance of the late PS2 era. The developers focused on making core football mechanics work consistently. Blocking. Offensive line blocking schemes and execution were reportedly much better tuned than in earlier titles, allowing the run game to be a consistent, realistic threat. Defensive logic. The AI defense was good enough to react to a user's play-calling tendencies, forcing the user to diversify. This makes the game feel smart and less exploitable.
Yeah, you kind of want
leading
defense to be
strategic flow.
overpowered a little
3.
bit to
Compared
nerf
to
the
previous
users.
and post-releases. Release year. Gameplay differentiator on PS2. Madden 08, 2007. High point for features, weapon system, etc. Gameplay was excellent, but 11 refined the animation transitions further.
To me, I'm a stickler for
Madden 10,
animation smoothness, so y'all already know
2009,
I'm leaning
Very
11.
similar core gameplay to 11. Many fans consider 10 and 11 to be the apex.
Okay, so
sometimes
either one are
citing
good.
10 as slightly more defensive-minded, or 11 as slightly more offensive. Madden 12.
And all that's anecdotal,
2011,
but apparently
the
not
final
Madden
PS2
10 and 11
release.
on PS2
It
are really
largely
good.
used the same core engine as 11 and 10. The differences were mainly in the franchise mode, like adding practice squads and roster updates. Gameplay changes were minimal, but some players perceived 11 as having slightly better graphics or smoother
So
commentary.
they think the graphics are better on 11,
In short,
and the presentation
Madden
is better.
11 benefited from being a nearly perfected version of the classic PS2
Nearly perfect,
engine,
he
where
say.
the developers had
Okay.
solved most of the clunky animation issues and achieved a highly satisfying balance between offense and defense, giving the player a consistent, fluid sense of control. Would you be interested in seeing the other major feature that Madden 11 introduced for the PS3/Xbox 360 version, which was likely left out of the PS2 version?
No, not really. Okay, well, from what I'm reading and from what we've read here, I noticed it's like a 12-minute video of just having an AI deep dive into Madden 11 versus previous and other generations. From what I'm gathering from this, if you want the peak franchise, you will go Madden 07 or 08 if you're like a menu merchant, which I can 100% relate to. If you want a smooth gameplay experience, it's saying go 10 or 11. And that's pretty much it. 07, 08 for franchise depth, 10 or 11. It's saying basically 12 is the exact same copy and paste from 11 with slightly perceived downgrades. In terms of, there was what was way up there, something about some animation bugs. I don't know. But apparently, if you want smoothness of animations, it says go with 11 because it completely optimized it and tweaked it. And then, of course, as we know, they stopped making it a year later. But so that's that. That's a little AI deep dive into Madden 11. I hope y'all enjoyed this discussion. If y'all want me to do any more deep dives on other Maddens, just drop down the Madden and the console, and I'll try to see if I can get Gemini here to do a deep dive on it with me. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me. God bless you. Jesus loves you. Sim Football out.